Throne of Bone. Prelude to the Rift. Location, Battlegrass. The Shadowlands. His dark fortress. Praise the Emperor. May his throne never be vacant. A general. A weapon. Honed in hate. Upega knelt in hatred, served in spite. What happens when loyalty is forged in loathing? What is the cost of allegiance in a kingdom built on ruin? Can one who doubts fester in the hearts of those who serve? Or do they feel the burn of contradiction? Find out as we descend into the darkness of the Shadowlands. Next on Free Your Mind. Okay, here we go. Welcome back, folks. We are starting Chapter 2. And we are here on location in Battlegrass, the Shadowlands, his dark fortress. That's the title there, all right? In the darkness, a figure rested upon a throne of skull and bone. Even in the shadows, you could see the low red glow of his eyes and little veiny lines that pulsed red under his pale skin, as if red-hot lava laid in waiting beneath its surface. Behind him was a tapestry housing the symbol of a faction long gone but not forgotten, a farce used to keep his intended united. The seated figure had a plan. He played the long game. Soon, and very soon, he will be back in their world. He will have everything he had ever wanted. Deep in his thoughts of Enosh, the sound of the click-clacking of boots pulled him back to the present. The shadowy lord knew that sound. A uniformly armored man of sorts urgently approached the throne. Visually, his skin seemed cracked, almost stone-like. The hair upon his head was fashioned into a bun that was seemingly aflame. Hiroku smiled devilishly as he approached, and for good reason. My lord, General Upega began dryly, kneeling. He did well to hide his disdain for his master. I have news from the sisters. Silence befell the room. Upega was taken aback as his eyes met briefly with the piercing red eyes of the Emperor. Hiroku was staring into him, really enjoying Upega's discomfort. The demon's disdain for his Emperor was hard to hide. He clenched his fists so hard, feeling the buildup of his inner power. Well? Hiroku leaned forward slightly, the shadows still covering him. He found such joy in passing his demon slave off as a general. Speak! According to the sisters, the portal will be ready to open on time. Upega continued. Despising this usurper he must diminish before. Our slow siphoning of Enoshian magics through Nod End has paid off. I've been a lot of places, Upega. The Leaper Spice Moons, Alazazi Prime, the Deloach Asteroid Resorts, the Heffley Confederate, and the Hollow. But I've waited, more than 1,000 years to properly return to Enosh. Hiroko revealed his fangs as he spoke. The Emperor stood, his grin bearing them fully. And now, soon I will have my revenge against the Queen Mother, against him. Upega smiled devilishly at the thought of getting his hands on the orb. He imagined the Emperor's defeat at his own hands and rising to take his place upon the throne. He thought of his true master, knowing within his heart of hearts that he would return. The Emperor took this grin as malintent and grimaced in response. Tell Evanora, I shall come to see their progress myself. The Emperor's smile faded as his tone darkened. Hiroko dismissed him with a motion of his hand. Slowly, Upega turned and walked away from the throne room, almost stomping. It angered him knowing that this charlatan was on the throne. Upega huffed past various parts of the fortress, struggling to contain what little hellfire he had left within. About 500 feet from the exit, Upega stopped himself. He closed his eyes, kneeling as his almighty God was there before him. Oh, Dark One, give me strength, he prayed, wanting to feel the hellish embrace of the pit. He took another moment or two before finally he stood and continued toward the exit. He thought back, remembering how this usurper chose not to search for Zeishanwi, their lost queen, nor his alpha, General Abaizu. He didn't wish to find any remaining of the family. Instead, Hiroko decided to crown himself as supreme leader and rule in their stead upon Zula's demonic throne. The leftover pawns were forced into servitude out of fear of him. To save themselves, they had pledged loyalty to him and his war. The Horde is what he called his new army of soldiers. Upega continued onward as the pair of posted Horde guards opened the giant fortress doors. The demon continued down the steps that led to the scorched terrain of the Shadowlands. Upega made his way down the stairs where his hellhound, a ghastly and portly beast, awaited his return. A loyal species of hellhound, the Kalb's bright pupils followed him as he got closer. Upega could tell his pet had been swimming, bathing in the deep lava streams around the fortress. It shook off the wetness of the hellfire flame that dripped from it before sinking into the ground to allow Upega easy access for mounting. Afterward, the beast rose as commanded, ready to move. Such a good boy. He stroked the Kalb's side gently, causing the beast to stroll happily across the tumultuous land. As instructed by Upega, the beast hurried towards the outskirts of Shadowland. As it began to pick up speed and race along the perimeter en route to where the Bedlam sisters were, Upega knew this would be his moment. The demon began to daydream. He could remember the feeling of being in Abaizu's arms. First, Merrick would rub his ejaculate, his slimy excrement, all over him. Then, as he held on to him, set Upega ablaze in blue flame, while Abaizu, his alpha, would thrust into him from behind. Upega nearly orgasmed right then and there at the thought. He grabbed his rock-like nipples, reminiscing of the three of them rolling around in the soul-filled hellfire pits. Just the knowing of the darkness watching brought them bliss. The trio joyfully bathed in the dead spirit's pools of despair. The darkness would take them to heights of pleasure no physical being could handle or appreciate. Sometimes, when Zula could get away from Zeishan, he would join in their dark pleasures. Abaizu, smoking out, intertwining with the Overlord, was beyond orgasmic. It was next level. One day, Abaizu, Upega almost shed a tear flame over such memories. By the Dark One, I swear, Overlord Zula will rise again, and we shall have our revenge. All right, well, that's the end of his Dark Fortress. We are going to stop there because now it's time for the Author's Corner. All right, folks, this is Author's Corner segment 1 that we're going to go through here. Okay, just like we always do, we're just going to answer some questions. Hopefully, these are questions that are in your mind. All right. So, first one under segment 1 here is what inspired this chapter's shift into the Shadowlands? Well, honestly, I'll tell you, I like writing like movies, transition. Like you'll start one way, and the next thing you know, you're switching to something else, and then back and forth and back and forth. I kind of write that way. So that's really, I felt it was important to introduce Hiroku now because he has such a rich backstory that you don't even know about yet, right? You have an inkling, but you really don't know, but you're going to find out. Next question. How does Upega's internal conflict reflect the larger war ahead? Well, the whole goal, as you know, is Hiroku is going to attempt to enter into Enosh and take over because that's what he wants to do, right? Now, Upega sees it as an opportunity for betrayal, right? And that's what all he cares about is getting the throne back under demon rule, and Hiroku is not a demon, right? Zula was a demon, Ubaizu is a demon, and he feels that this Hellmouth, Battlegrass, should be under demon rule, as every Hellmouth is. So that's his agenda. All right, next question. What should readers hold on to as they witness the descent into darkness? Whose descent? That's the real question. Who's going into darkness? Is it Hiroku, who's going further into darkness, or is he as far as you can go into darkness? What's happening with Upega and his darkness? Who else is there? You haven't met anybody else yet. What about their darkness? That's the kind of stuff you're going to look forward to. And maybe you can kind of come up with your own answer. Okay? All right. Now we're going to move on to segment 2 of the Author's Corner. Okay? This one, let's rewind because I didn't name the first one. The first one is named Throne Room, Upega's Defiance and Dilemma, which, kind of fits. I don't know if it's more of a dilemma, but okay. Next one, Revenge, for segment 2. Revenge, the Emperor's Delusion, and Upega's True Allegiance. Okay, question 1. Why was it important to show Hiroku's false sense of power in this scene? Well, he doesn't have a false sense of power because he has power, but he is not the true ruler of this kingdom or this Hellmouth, but he just took it, so it's important to show how much power he really has, and that kind of relates to it a little bit. Okay, question number 2. What is Upega really praying for? And does he let's try that again. What is Upega really praying for? And does he expect to receive it? Well, he is pretty much the only demon right now in that whole realm. kind of, sort of, you know, true demon. I'll say true demon because there's some other ones in there that we don't really talk about. Okay, um, but what is he praying for? He honestly he wants Abizu to come back and kind of like put his foot down and take over and fix things, but he doesn't know where Abizu is or what happened to him. So he's really kind of going to take matters into his own hands. That's kind of like where we're headed, right? Right? Is that what you think? Okay. All right. Last segment number 3. This one is titled Desire, Memory, Pleasure, and excuse me, Desire, Memory, Pleasure, and Infernal Loyalty. Okay, question number 1. What do Upega's memories reveal about the kind of bond he shared with Abizu and the others? Ooh, well, that's a little NC-17 there going on in his memory about how they rolled around in pools of souls, doing the nasty in the pools of souls, folks. That's what he was about. And it was just a good thing for them. They're not people. So, something like that is just a normal day to them, I guess, is how you could see it. Okay. Anyways, next question. Why was it important to show this intimate side of a character forged in hellfire and rage? When I had this question pop up, I started thinking about it. And I think the important part of this is to show that even things that aren't human have emotion and feel things, and he's definitely full of emotion, right? His family's gone. Think about that. His family's gone. His love is gone. These are like inbred entities that, there's no procreation like in a human world, but they make love to each other over and over again, from the top to the bottom, and it's normal. It's a normal thing for them, right? That's what he's longing for. That's what he misses. It's that connection, you know. He's in a hellmouth, but it's not home like he's used to being in because they are tasked with something by the darkness to complete, and he can't go back until it's done. So, all right, now question number 3. How does this moment of reflection foreshadow Upega's future path and the vengeance he seeks? I can't answer that. I can't answer that because that gives too much away. Because we're going to read and find out more. Let's see if I can find something for you here. Let's see. How does this moment of reflection foreshadow Upega's future path? Well, I can tell you that there will be some outbursts and some he will not remain quiet. This whole yes master, you know Darth Vader thing is not going to last long because he's fed up with all of it, and he's so close to making some changes, and he's not going to do a good job of keeping it inside. So, but you'll see all that. You'll see all that as it comes. But yeah, so that's it. That's it. That's the last question. We've gone through 3 segments. I've answered some questions for each segment, right? Like the hand motions here. So that's going to be it for the first part, the first subchapter of chapter 2. So, you know what you got to do? You got to like and subscribe this video. Comment about what we've read. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Were you expecting something different? What do you think's going to come next? You're going to have to find out in the next video. As we continue chapter 2 and the next subchapter, we're going to meet Blade Swipe. And the sisters. Don't forget about the sisters. We're going to meet them too. All right. Well, this is it for this episode of Free Your Mind. And I will see you next time. Toodles.